Okay. So thank you for joining Miss D. My name's Jonathan. I am with National Integrated Services. We have the wonderful D on the line with us. D gets so many props for creating the slide deck that we're going to go through. She's helped out in many trainings. She's very much a colleague of mine. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start our series on consultative sales. We're going to go through upselling today, but I wanted to start with a basic overview of what consultative sales is. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll just go through this basic information pretty quickly. Did I share the right screen? D, what do you see? Do you see the consultative sales overview?
Nope, it says active listening, the bullets of 12.
All right, let me stay. I figured that. Okay, so, oh yeah, that's the one. Okay, so this is good. Okay, so when this is our overview of consultative sales, and these are just some of the points that we want to hit on. So active listening, the ability to active listen means that you give your customer the time to speak. And when they are speaking, that you're giving verbal head nods, or you're definitely listening to the points that they're making, because the biggest thing about consultative sales is very prescriptive, right? So you're going to come up with a solution to a problem. You're not just selling, bubble gum, right? You're
Hmm.
coming up with a solution, something that's going to help them fix a problem. Uh, Open-ended question. So, Ms. D, can you give me an example of an open-ended question?
Oh, you put me on the spot there. So let's see. An open-ended question is, what got you interested in this product?
Excellent, right? Tell me what you got going on today, right? Tell me a little bit more about what got you interested in the product, right? Very easy. Open-ended question just means that it's something that the customer has to give you more than yes or no, right?
Hmm.
Um, Research and preparation, right? So it's hard to really sell anything if you don't know what you're selling. It's really hard to sell something if you're not prepared for the call. Whenever you're making your follow-up calls, whenever you're making your interactions via email or whatever the case may be, it could be chat. We consider ourselves an omni-channel organization, so we use chat, calls, emails, and also text messaging. However, you're going to make your communication, you need to be prepared, right? When you have questions, you need to be prepared with correct answers. If you don't know the answer, it's okay. Just don't give false information. Go about the process of finding out the correct information and then coming back to double back and make sure you give the correct information without creating a bad customer experience. Building genuine relationships. Building genuine relationships is just basically being accounted for and being accurate with your information. We're not asking you to take anyone out to the ball game, but we just want you to really kind of understand, right?
Right.
Hey, I'm here for you. I have a solution to your problem,
Hmm.
and just being genuine with it. Educate and inform. Um, I kind of go back to a lot of times the goal is to be an advisor. So you're definitely a salesperson, but you're advising them on which way to go with their purchase. One thing that I've learned when I went to school I got a master's in IT. You can have the best tech support team, you can have the best data analytics team, you can have the best data information technology teams in the world. But if your company isn't building revenue, if you're not making sales, it's really hard to be sustainable. So one of the biggest things that you can learn is sales and the ability to, number one, build those genuine relationships, educate and inform, and then create tailored solutions. Those are really, really important because they have a lot to do with being intellectual, right? You
Hmm.
got to think to make a sale. It's not going to be just easy. Okay. Here's another one that's important. Focus on the benefits, not the features. Ms. D, when you hear that, focus on the benefits, not the features, what comes to mind when you think about that aspect?
How is this going to help the individual? How are they going to benefit from either using or buying the product versus, we feature this and that and the other?
Exactly, exactly. So if I'm selling internet service and I'm like, I got 802.11 and it's WPA security and all that is fine and good. But at the end of the day, how many devices can I connect to it, right?
Exactly.
Can I do parental MAC address filtering, right? To make sure my
Hmm.
kids are going to bed at night, not on the internet all night, right? Those are what we want to focus on. We don't want to just feature dump. Hey, we got this, and this. No, how does this, and all this going to help the customer? So that's really important. We want to handle objections with empathy. This is really important. So empathy has to do with feelings, right? So somebody calls in and they had to go through this whole call tree, right? And they finally get to the wonderful Miss D on a call, right? And they say, hey, D, I appreciate you taking my call, but this is the third time I called. Two people hung up on me and I was on hold for about 10 minutes. Miss D, what's the first thing you're going to communicate to that customer, ma'am?
I'm going to apologize to them and empathize. I understand, this is my first time speaking with you. This is what I'm going to do for you and explain to them.
Perfect. Perfect. Right. This is what I'll do to fix the issue. Remember, it's not about, if you're right or wrong. It's about the organization or whatever you're selling. Like if you are a salesperson of your own service, every interaction is so important. The world is based on Google reviews and Yelp reviews.
Sure.
It's right.
Yep.
Everybody can go out there and they can say whatever they want about your organization. So you need to make sure that interaction is a positive interaction. That's the best way to find out if your company can be successful at what you're doing. Number one, do your best at it, put your effort into it, always put your best foot forward, put the customer first, right? Make them feel like they're valuable, their time is valuable, because if it was you on the other end, you would want to feel that way as well. So thank you, Ms. D, for that interaction. You want to take a collaborative approach, right? So you want to work with the customer to create solutions that are going to help them. Really important. This is another one that I work with a lot of agents about following up, right? The ability, the want to of following up. I had this great initial call. I know that my product or service will help this individual. You know, now I need to call them back tomorrow, right? And then after that, I need to call them back in a couple of days. I need to keep the communication going. And
Hmm.
this is really where it comes down to the problem. And you tell me, Ms. D, what you think. When you come into the day and you've got about 30 sales calls to make, right? And you look at that list, a lot of times when I was an agent and I was working in a sales role, I would look at that list and I would start psyching myself out, right? You
Yeah.
did a great job of getting through your sales list. What
Thank you.
type of mentality did you have when you came into the day and there were 30 or 40 calls that you had to make in a 2 hour span?
Just that I was going to make a difference in that person's day, going with a positive attitude and energy. Every call, you don't know if they're going to pick up, but if they do, that interaction is going to be everything. So I want to make it positive and
Excellent. Excellent. So the want to, Ms. D, what I get from your conversation is that you want to, and that those interactions were important to you. And I was the same way, once I kind of got past my blocker and that blocker slowed me down, but
hmm.
I wanted to. And then another thing, team, you got to find ways to be competitive. You can compete with yourself, you can compete
Yes.
with other people on your team, but you got to find a way to kind of get out of the monotony and the kind of me feeling and find
Hmm.
a way to be competitive to drive and motivate yourself, right? I want to get more sales than, D, right? I want to beat D.
Yeah.
So how do I beat
Oh,
D? I got to make calls, right? I
yeah.
got
And
to
set
be
goals for yourself every day. Today I'm going to be
every
better than
day.
yesterday.
You got to, right? If you don't challenge yourself, it's really hard for you to be motivated. I
Yes.
talk a lot about inner success,
Hmm.
the feeling inside that you want to be successful and that you'll do what's necessary to be successful. And sometimes you got to find things that kind of drive you, right? So that's an
Agree.
excellent point. Um, this is another one I can speak to. I'm a reader, right?
Hmm.
I love to read. I love school. I'm actually planning to go to school for another degree. And not saying that everybody has to go to school for a
Right.
degree, but I like the structured learning part of it,
Hmm.
being a lifelong learner, right? there's so much. We live in a digital age and everything's at our fingertips, right?
Yes.
So the ability to go out and challenge yourself to learn new perspectives is really, really important. I'll give you one example, Miss D, and you tell me if you can relate. Sometimes I'll sit and I'll start a book and then I'll say, oh, maybe I'll get a Facebook alert, right? And I'll go end up on Facebook or I'll be looking at a post or something like that. And the next time I look up, and I've spent an hour and a half searching through Facebook, looking at ads or looking at something on the marketplace that I know I'm not going to buy. And then
Mhm.
an hour and a half looks up and I'm like, I could have been 100 pages into my book, right? So
Yes.
focus is a big deal, but wanting to
Self-discipline.
learn, what do you
Yes.
think? What do you think about lifelong learning and distractions?
I absolutely agree with you. Self-discipline is very difficult. And you talk about life learning. It's in every industry. In real estate, you have continuing education to make sure that you're up on your skills